violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Unbelievable. It seems to lately always be over nothing. We're standing in front of the shooter's house right now, learning a little bit more about this man in his 30s. We're told he has a military background, and when police went in early Sunday morning to arrest him, he had a stockpile of weapons stored all around the home.
Dang. So, I mean, his brother was a Trump supporter, as you guys can see, and apparently this happened all over a parking spot, and this is in Detroit, okay? This is in Detroit. I don't know if they planted that yard sign, but it doesn't look good, okay? It doesn't look good. It's too good to be true, almost. But what I think that people might miss is all the other super gremlins who are on the other side, okay? But I thought that was funny that they had the Trump yard sign in the window, because I think the media is or would have fun with this if the demographic of the shooter was a little different.
But earlier Sunday, he opened fire shooting from the second floor and the first floor of his home, firing into a crowded group of people and cars right in front of his house. Sadly, as you said, 8 people were shot. 2 of them have died.
He was the good guys. For us to lose one of the good guys like this is terrible.
38-year-old Andre Willis Jr. murdered by an angry neighbor mad. His driveway was partially blocked by Willis and at a birthday party happening across the street. His cousin, too nervous to show her face, remembers this father of 2.
His kids shouldn't have to live without him. He has small children. One of them won't even remember.
It played out early Sunday morning off Coyle Street near Plymouth on Detroit's west side. Police say the gunman in his 30s used a high-power rifle, firing at parked cars out front and into that house full of people.
Wow.
He shot from the first and second story of his home that was barricaded with weapons.
They recovered 11 weapons, again 11 weapons from this home that were strategically placed throughout the home, so as he moved through the home he would have access to these weapons.
8 people were shot.
It seems like this man was just ready. It seems like he was just ready to go at this point. Because he got these weapons positioned and all throughout the house. Oh man. Waiting for a picture of this guy.
Shot in what DPD is calling a mass shooting as partygoers rushed Willis and a second woman to Wake Williams to the hospital. They crashed near 6 Mile and Greenfield. Sadly, both later died.
He worked and go home and take care of his family, take care of his kids, take care of his woman. He was a good man.
Police Chief James White says the shooter, who has a military background, was arrested inside his home with those 11 weapons. Apparently, he started an argument with people outside at the party, then settled it with gunfire.
The levels of crime that we're seeing in our city is unacceptable. This country's obsession with...
So it looks like there was a party outside and, maybe he was upset about them parking in front of his crib or something like that. Maybe the super gremlins at the party got disrespectful. Who knows? There's a lot going on. Obviously, they're trying to blame the guns all across the nation, which is upsetting. Okay. But I don't think they're really addressing the real problem and the real issue. I don't know this guy's criminal background, but I'm pretty sure that in most cases, these guys aren't allowed to have these certain weapons. Now, he has a military background, so he probably was good, maybe suffering from some PTSD. Who knows? Okay. But obviously, the chief of police has been given a he's been given a script to hone in on. So instead of actually, allowing the law enforcement and the criminal justice system to work in the way that it's supposed to be, which is keeping violent offenders locked up, they're blaming the instrument of which these individuals keep offending.
Weapons and mass shootings, and it's just unacceptable, and we can do better, and we have to do better, and I'm not going to get on a...
Family says Willis was the guy to de-escalate situations, adding insult to injury that he was murdered over something that could have been resolved.
To lose my cousin to gun violence, the family man, the peacemaker, to lose him to gun violence doesn't make sense.
Just awful. Now you're looking at the home behind me. That was the intended target of this shooting. Now, as far as the shooter, again, in his 30s, we don't have a name quite yet. He is expected to be charged tomorrow, but that's not guaranteed at this point. That'll be up to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Now, as far as the other victims, the other 5 victims in various states of recovery, we are told that a 19-year-old male that was shot is still in critical condition. For now, reporting live on Detroit's West Side, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, just so much to unpack here. You say a military background, 11 weapons strategically placed at different places in the house. It's as though he was waiting for someone to tick him off and get angry.
Absolutely. And there was some prior calls for service by DPD to this house, but nothing violent, nothing that would have predicted this kind of shooting. And it's important to note, this is just one of several shootings. We're talking about 24 non-fatal shootings and 7 homicides in the city of Detroit over the weekend. By far the most violent so far this year.
Yeah, not a proud moment for our good city in Detroit. Jessica Dupnack for us live. Thank you.
Had 24 non-fatal shootings and sadly 7 homicides.
In one weekend in Detroit.
Community's tired. This is out of control. How many more press conferences like this? How many more scenes? How many more hospital visits, burials do we have to go through?
Monday after.
I swear they say this at every press conference. This is crazy.
Police and dozens of community leaders unpacked the most violent weekend of the year, including 8 people shot at a birthday party. 2 died, including Tawake Williams and Andre Willis Jr.
To lose my cousin to gun violence, the family man, the peacemaker.
And they still didn't show the shooter. He had a Trump sign in his front window, and they haven't shown who the shooter was. So that shows me that most likely, unfortunately, he was a super gremlin on demon time.
To lose him to gun violence doesn't make sense.
Willis, a father of 2, shot and killed off Coyle Street near Plymouth. The gunman, who lived across the street from the birthday party, had a military background and guns barricaded in his home. He started shooting at the party. Mad, his driveway was partially blocked.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, he had probably been dealing with other things in that neighborhood. This one just set him off, and unfortunately, he started shooting at some good people. Okay? According to the family, at least. I'm sure that there were other things, other factors that were the going-ons in that neighborhood that ticked him off. But it doesn't justify him doing what he did. But I'm just telling you guys that people in general are fed up. People in the community are fed up. He was seeing all types of things going on in that neighborhood. And that party across the street where they're blocking up his driveway completely set him off.
They recovered 11 weapons. Again, 11 weapons from this home that were strategically placed throughout the home. So as he moved through the home, he would have access to these weapons.
And then Sunday evening, another birthday party, another shooting on the city's west side. 2 teen girls, just 14, shot in a drive-by. One of them is in intensive care. 2 days earlier, Friday, to start the weekend, another drive-by shooting near McNichols and Livernois. 3 people were shot. 1 died, a football standout at Davenport University.
Wow. I'm going to do that story too. I mean, where are all the NFL players on this one?
For the NFL.
There needs to be a penalty for bad behavior. And I don't see anyone who has a healthy fear of committing a crime. You have to pause and say, I might go to jail. I may do time.
Yes, that's what it is. It's not the guns, bro. It's that people just, know that there won't be severe consequences, especially if they don't kill anybody. If they like shoot up the block and don't hit anybody or injure people, they're not going to do too much time. And that just gives them more incentive to increase their street cred, right? That's all it is. Obviously, for this military vet, it was more of a neighborhood dispute and very one-sided at that. But like I said, I'm pretty sure he was at his wit's end with that neighborhood in particular, and he lashed out.
And the reality of it is, I'm not seeing that. So
The chief says arrests are being made in these shootings, but the rest of the judicial process needs work, like bail issues and tether restrictions. DPD making a new strategic announcement Monday.
As of this morning, I've directed that all felony weapon arrests be sent for review to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and those are federal charges, so you're not going to be able to work those off without doing the time.
The suspect who allegedly shot 8 people is expected to be charged on Tuesday. As far as those other 2 shootings we mentioned in this story, no one is in custody. Reporting on Detroit's West Side, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Other top story tonight, Detroit police now investigating 2 mass shootings that happened within 12 hours of each other.
Both of those shootings happening on the east side, with the latest shooting happening on Andover near East State Fair, where 7 people were shot. Priya Mann is live at Detroit Police Headquarters tonight with more on how community leaders are now speaking out against the spike in gun violence across the city. Priya?
Well, Sandra, Pamela, city leaders say they are frustrated and disappointed, pointing out there's so many great things happening in the city.
She cold.
Instead, we're focused on police investigations into several mass shootings. One of the victims, who was critically injured yesterday, has since passed away, bringing the total now to 3 dead, 9 injured.
Heartbroken. I mean, we've had back-to-back weekends of double-digit shootings.
2 mass shootings in Detroit over the weekend left 3 dead and 9 injured, some critically.
Part of my frustration is that there are some magnificent things that are occurring on in the city, but a weekend like this just diminishes it.
Yeah, and I mean, he's right, and I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that there are great things, great people, working in Detroit. But like he said, a weekend like this, it makes you wonder if it's actually worth it.
Because that's what your lead is.
The mass shootings happened about 12 hours and 7 miles apart. Around 10:30 Saturday morning, 5 people were shot at a known drug house on Saratoga Street near Gratiot. 2 people were killed. 12 hours later, Detroit police investigating another mass shooting. This time, 7 people were shot during a dice game on Andover Street near East State Fair. 1 person died and several others were critically injured. Police recovered 20 to 30 shell casings from the scene.
There are clearly too many guns.
Hold on. A dice game? Is that the same shooting that we just covered? So was it a party or a dice game?
Absolutely too many guns.
The violence in this city is ridiculous. We can do better. I ask the citizens of this city, if you saw anything, say something so we can bring those who are responsible to justice.
Deadly weekends back-to-back in Detroit. Last weekend, a mass shooting injured 8 and killed 1. Police say a man opened fire when he discovered his driveway was blocked during a neighbor's birthday party.
We have to constantly look at how we handle disputes. We don't handle disputes well at all.
And that's the other challenge for police. Often people know one another, but at this point, not many people are talking or speaking out. You're urged to come forward. If you have any information, you can call Detroit police, or you can remain anonymous and call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Reporting live at DBD headquarters, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
Flashing lights, gunfire, and grief. This was the scene in a neighborhood on Detroit's west side in the early morning hours after reports of several people shot. It's been a long, heartbreaking day as everyone awaits for answers on why 7 people ended up injured and 1 person died.
The homicide task force has been on the scene piecing together evidence, interviewing people, and trying to figure out how things turned so violent. The shooting part of a violent weekend in the city. Local 4's Victor Williams is live on the scene. And Victor, what have you learned so far?
Well, Pam and Sandra, we know that 1 person is in custody, and this is just another example of all the senseless shootings happening right here in our city. This time, it's this shooting that happened right here on Coyle that victimized 8 people. Sadly, as it's been
I guess they took the Trump sign out the window.
Mentioned, 1 person did not make it.
It sounded like we was in World War III. That's how loud the gunshots were.
A warm summer night turns chaotic in the wee hours of the morning, leaving 38-year-old Andre Willis Jr. dead and 7 others injured. Nearby neighbor Mr. Jones, who did not want his face shown, says it was a simple dispute about someone blocking a driveway during a party that led to the shooting.
They wasn't bothering nobody, you know, and then about 2 o'clock, 2:30, the guy right here come out and just start shooting.
The accused shooter is believed to be Mr. Jones's next-door neighbor, who allegedly started blindly firing shots into the crowd at the party. 8 people in total were hit. Witnesses say the man came outside complaining that actually Andre's car was blocking the driveway. A family member says that the bumper was too close to the driveway entrance. The man then started shooting into the car through the back window of the home, according to witnesses.
Damn.
After he let off around about 20, 30 shots, he reloaded and started back shooting.
Apparently, some of the victims tried driving themselves to the hospital but crashed instead. Andre Willis Jr. now leaves behind 2 little girls.
And they wasn't making no loud noise over there. They were just having a good time.
Damn. I hate it for brother Andre. Another example of black on black crime. It doesn't look like we finna get this together. That's why I did the live stream on the crime bill. We know Biden is incompetent and can't write the crime bill. So like I've been asking, the black community needs a crime bill, but who's gonna write it?
We are expecting more details to be announced tomorrow at a press conference by DPD happening at 1 p.m. And so once again, 1 person is in custody, and we are waiting for a mugshot, a name, as well as charges to be released very soon. Victor Williams, Local 4.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all.
Well, police are telling 7 Action News that the shooting was all over an SUV blocking a driveway. Now, that shooter is currently in police custody and is sitting in the Wayne County Jail.
Neighbors on Coyle Street on Detroit's west side are in shock after a shooting left 1 dead and 7 others injured over the weekend.
Oh, wow, man, it sounded like we was in World War III.
Witnesses say the shooting was unprovoked and recall dozens of shots being fired.
Oh my God, it was like 25 shots. Them the first ones I heard. The second round was 30.
Police say the man responsible intentionally fired the shots into the air and then went back into his house to get
Okay, there it goes. The Trump sign in the window.
Another weapon. Witnesses and police say the shooting was over an SUV blocking his driveway. He then started shooting at people inside the SUV and then at the house across the street. The man who lives at the home says he did not know the people in the SUV, but says loved ones were having a party and were about to head out to the bar when the shots started to ring out. Neighbors describe the suspect as someone who typically keeps to himself and as a former member of the military who is hard to get along with.
I've been having problems with him since I've been here. And he told me that he was going to kill my whole family.
Dang. So he's the menace in the community. That boy is a menace. That's what it is. That's what it is, man. That boy been terrorizing the community. No priors. Dang, he been threatening to kill people, family, and ain't got no priors. See, this is where no snitching goes wrong. You was supposed to report that to the police, boo. Like, he was supposed to get some charges for that.
For no reason.
Me and him got into it a few times. You know, he always got this anger. I don't know if that's from the military, but he has this anger that if somebody says something to him, he quick to say what he'll do to somebody.
And that's not necessarily just being in the military. It's a lot of these super gremlins in general. Okay, this is not, oh, he was in the military, and nah, this is just, you know, a regular day in the community.
Now that news conference is scheduled for today at 1 p.m. We'll be sure to bring it to you live. Reporting in Detroit, I'm Peter Maxwell 7.
And today, Detroit Police Chief James White is expected to address gun violence from over the weekend.
Well, on Sunday, police were at multiple shooting scenes, including a shooting at Penrod and Joy Road, and that injured 2 teen girls, and then an early morning shooting that left a father dead and 7 others injured. Let's get to Local 4's Nick Monticelli. He joins us now following both of the investigations, and the police chief expected to speak out about this gun violence later today.
He is, and the reason for that is because the gun violence has escalated, gotten to a point where it's ridiculous that people are unable to resolve conflict without using guns, and the shooting where 8 people were shot is a glaring example of that.
He just random came out and just started shooting across the street. It sounded like we was in World War III. That's how loud the gunshots were.
This man did not want to show his face as his neighbor is accused of shooting 8 people, killing one of them, 38-year-old Andre Willis Jr. It was a fight about Andre slightly blocking a driveway at a party.
They wasn't bothering nobody, you know, and then about 2 o'clock, 2:30, the guy right here come out and just start shooting. After he let off a round.
Hold on, so is this 2 in the morning? And y'all having a party that late? I hope it's not 2 in the morning.
About 20, 30 shots, he reloaded and started back shooting.
That wasn't the only shooting over the weekend. 2 teenage girls were shot Sunday night on Penrod Street near Joy Road on Detroit's west side. Police say 4 men inside a silver SUV pulled up to a group of people outside of a party. Someone in the SUV fired several shots. Detroit Police Chief James White is sick and tired of the shootings.
Everybody's got a gun. Everybody's deciding to resolve conflict with a gun. And, we're going to continue to investigate these charges and make arrests and get these illegal weapons off the street. If you got a gun, leave it at home.
Later today, Chief White will be addressing the community, trying to curb the violence.
It's no place to bring a gun to an argument. You're making horrible decisions. People are getting hurt. People are dying. And we're going to do everything we can to do something about it and get these trigger pullers off the street.
Trigger pullers?
Yeah.
Trigger pullers with a hard R.
Making horrible decisions is a very good way to put it. Looking at the victims in these 2 different shootings, the 7 others involved in that Sunday morning shooting, we're not sure their conditions. The 2 teenage girls, one of them was shot in the foot. She's going to be okay. The other shot in her arm and her chest. So we're waiting to see what her condition is and if she's going to survive as well. And something to keep in mind as the chief is going to be addressing the public later on today is that This usually is a spur-of-the-moment type of thing. People get into an argument, don't think, pull a gun and start shooting. That has ramifications. You hurt somebody, you kill somebody, you end up in prison. All things he's expected to talk about that people just aren't thinking before pulling the trigger. We're live downtown. Nick Monticelli, Local 4 News today.
That is no way to deal with your anger. Nick, thank you.
10% farm with the GPS tether and holds rough.
Thank you, Sister Counsel. Mr. Kirtley Jr., the court takes a number of things into consideration upon imposition of bond. The court's heard arguments from the people as well as from the appointed counsel for the purposes of arraignment. The court notes you have ties to the community, has considered all information alleged in the investigator's report, as well as the very serious nature of these allegations, which are extremely serious and concerning. Given the safety of the public, the court also notes you have no capious history or prior criminal convictions and has taken into consideration the pandemic facing the nation, as well as any employment status presented to the court as it relates to ability to post bond.
Wow. They're taking in to consideration the pandemic and employment status. I mean, I get it. But this is the brother who did it, y'all. This is him. No prior criminal history. Party blocking his driveway. Was it PTSD? Did he get ticked off? Well, obviously he got ticked off, but you wonder the reason for this. Throw your whole life away over something very little, something small, but like I said, we don't know exactly what went on. And, you know, he's probably a black conservative. Okay. So I guess we gotta chalk this one up, bro. We gotta take this one. We gotta take this one on the chin, bro. Okay? Except he got pushed to the point where he went on demon time. We're just talking about these issues, and he probably seen a lot in that neighborhood and was just fed up. That's what I really think it is. Like, he just seen so much, and he was just tired, and that was the day. Oh, what the heck, man? He throwing a party across my... And they parked on my driveway? Hey, ain't no talking. Boom, just blast off. Or maybe he confronted him. Oh, yeah, that's what they say. He confronted him and then left. They might have disrespected him. They might have laughed. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Somebody might have. I don't know. I'm not saying that it was justified. I'm just trying to get to why he actually did this.
Postpone. The court's had an opportunity to review the information alleged in the investigator's report, as well as taking into consideration the very serious nature of these offense allegations, and the court finds you to be a danger to the community and therefore will remand you into custody for further proceedings. Anything further, Madam Prosecutor?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Tonight, we were getting our first look at the man accused of shooting 8 people during a birthday party on Detroit's West Side. Winston Kirtley Jr. faces 20 charges, including murder. Rod Maloney
Winston Kirtley Jr.
is following this story for us tonight. Rod, prosecutors say his house was full of guns.
Yeah, about a dozen of them, Kimberly. And in fact, it's the Detroit shooting that has really raised a lot of eyebrows here at the DPD. The chief had a press conference on Monday decrying this shooting and similar violence. And today, the man arrested in this case did, in fact, make it to court.
Could you say your name again, please?
Winston Kirtley Jr.
Winston Kirtley Jr. is 36 years old. He appeared in 36th District Court this morning. Detroit police saying they took him into custody almost immediately early Sunday morning on Cole Street on Detroit's West Side. After a well-attended birthday party filled the neighborhood with parked cars. It so angered Kirtley, he started an argument, a verbal argument, and then he allegedly started shooting a rifle at a crowd, leaving bodies everywhere. A neighbor wanting to stay anonymous telling Local 4 News.
He just random came out and just started shooting across the street. It sounded like we was in World War III. That's how loud the gunshots were.
2 people died. A woman, 39-year-old Taweka Thurkeld of Detroit, and this man, 38-year-old Andre Willis of Detroit, died of their wounds. 6 others ended up in the hospital. one critical. Detroit police saying this whole thing precipitated because cars were blocking the driveway here. But making this infinitely more dangerous, police say, is that Kirtley had another 10 weapons besides the one in his hands. They were positioned by all of the windows in the house. Today, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office charged Kirtley with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
And you know what? I get why he would have those guns, because a block like that probably gets shot up pretty often. So I get why he would have the guns, but his anger got the best of him. And it seems like he's been a problem in that neighborhood. You know, it's kind of what happens in the community. This is the face of mass shooters in America. And you can't convince me otherwise. These super gremlins are on demon time.
6 counts of assault with intent to murder, 2 of discharging a weapon at a building, and 10 counts of felony firearm. The judge entered a not guilty plea for Kirtley. Now, Prosecutor Kim Worthy making it a point to say that this shooting went way beyond the pale. In fact, she said in a statement, it's clear that it's been for some time that absolutely nothing is sacred when it comes to gun violence these days. And it is also apparent that there is little political will to control the mechanisms behind it. Back to you.
Well, Rod, what happens next for Kirtley in court?
Okay. He has a probable cause hearing on the 18th of August, and then he comes back for his prelim on the 25th. That's where we will likely hear more evidence that we haven't heard so far in the case.
Yeah. And we will be following it. Rod, we appreciate it.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.